Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the conversation on TOS TV Network, your digital first pan-African network. It's the 22nd day of June already. It's like the month is fast wrapping up. I don't know if I should be excited about that one or not. And it's a beautiful Tuesday morning here in Abuja, Nigeria's capital city. And of course, my name is Adesu Osi.
And I am Sagir Ibrahim. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. Good morning, Adesu.
Good morning, Sagir. It's good to see you this morning.
I see you're looking excited.
I was going to say you look bright because you are the one that you don't look bright anymore because you feel like you didn't have enough rest.
You need to understand something. It is the 22nd of June, 2021.
Okay.
The month is fast coming to an end.
Okay.
And when the month ends, something good happens.
Oh,
so
I see.
I'm excited.
I think I understand. I think every Nigerian working class person will understand where you're coming from.
Exactly. but still, I would still advise, get a side hustle. It's very, very important you do so. So you don't get overly excited when the month is coming to an end. Anyways.
Or possibly just rest well. Because sadly, you never rest well at night. So it comes in the morning looking grumpy.
Maybe people should advise me now.
All right, with that, we'll bring you the quote of the day as always. And then afterwards, we're bringing you, up to speed with happenings and stories from across the African continent.
Always remember,
this man I have creative design. We really like it, but
you deserve a break. You can indulge in a cup of 3-in-1 Cadbury Hot Chocolate. Cadbury Hot Chocolate. Indulge. Now available in the 450 grams pouch.
All right, let's dive right into the stories, shall we? Starting from Zimbabwe, very sad development from Zimbabwe, actually. So the face of a 9-year-old Zimbabwean boy attacked by hyena in May will be reconstructed by plastic surgeons in South Africa, thankfully. Rodwell Komazana lost his nose, left eye, most of his upper lip, bit of his forehead and other part of his face when he was attacked during a nighttime church service outside Harare on May 2nd. Doctors in Zimbabwe's public hospitals' lack of resources to fully repair his ravaged face led his mother to contact medics in neighboring South Africa because she was unable to afford specialized surgery only available abroad. When I first read the story, I think it was last month, I read the story that a boy was mauled by an hyena in Zimbabwe. I was very shocked. Like, how did that happen? First of all, what happened? What's the backstory? But having to hear that South African doctors have decided, to, do a face reconstruction surgery for him, I was very happy. But then I was like, she had to go all the way to South Africa because Zimbabwe didn't have the resources, to do the surgery for her. It just reminds me, it brings me back to Nigeria, even though our healthcare system might be, more advanced than what they have in Zimbabwe. But there are certain things, that's why people leave Nigeria and go outside of Nigeria to do, surgery, basically healthcare stuff, because we do not have the resources to handle that here.
You need to understand that even in Nigeria, everybody is going abroad. Be it the surgeons, the doctors, and those seeking medical attention.
Yes.
So it's just like, let's meet outside and solve this problem.
Exactly.
We can't do it in Nigeria. Until the system becomes favorable enough for doctors to want to stay, and give their all as well as their best to Nigerians, to the healthcare system, we'll keep experiencing this. This is exactly what the brain drain syndrome does to a country, You have world over, they keep saying it, Nigerians have the best doctors all over the world. Yes. But still, you find these doctors outside being praised. And when you come home to Nigeria, you start hearing things like, we've not been paid our allowances, COVID-19 allowance, our health benefit allowance, our insurance allowance. We've not even been paid salaries. Our salaries, we are being paid percentage salaries. 25% has been deducted by our salaries by state governments.
Let's not shade Nigeria
and then,
at this point.
I'm not shading Nigeria. I'm just stating exactly what the healthcare system and healthcare providers face in the country. So it might not be too different from what is applicable here in Zimbabwe. Probably that is the reason why. And it's a good thing that at least she was able to get the medical attention he deserved in neighboring South Africa, which it's quite a good one for, and I hope the boy's face is reconstructed and he gets to be a handsome young man once again. Okay, so moving away from hyena attacks and surgery, we go to Ethiopia, where after being cancelled twice last year, polling stations opened in Ethiopia on Monday for national and regional elections in the greatest electoral test yet for Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, who sees it as his commitment to the country's democracy after decades of repulsive rule. Security forces are deployed in the capital city, Addis Ababa, and in the country to ensure a peaceful election. And this is good. You know, Ethiopia has been quite through a couple of issues, you know, including the Tigray crisis, which led to the loss of a couple of thousands of lives.
The global map.
Exactly.
Everything happening in Tigray in the past month.
So for the government to be this resilient, and for the leader of Ethiopia, Abiy Ahmed, you know, to show this commitment to want to, you know, carry out elections that, okay, despite all that has happened, let us come and express our democratic right to elect who governs us. It sends quite a signal.
I understand where you're coming from, and I hope other African countries, you know, learn from that, whether, you know, however they want to see that. Moving away from Ethiopia to Kenya. Now, after Kenya's energy regulator raised the monthly fuel surcharge levy in tariffs to the highest level in 2 years, electricity consumers will pay an extra 500 million Kenyan shillings in June. The Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority on Friday increased the fuel surcharge from 2.92 Kenyan shillings per kilowatt hour last month to 3.63 Kenyan shillings, the highest level since May 2019.
I have just a sentence for Kenyans. Welcome to Nigeria.
I was going to say the same thing. I literally was going to say the same thing, that this is Nigeria across the border. Because it's like full price hike, and then we're seeing the hike in the electricity tariff plan. That is what Nigerians are actually we're having to get used to. And we're seeing that replicating now in Kenya. So they raised the price of fuel, and then they're having to pay more for electricity at this point.
Yes.
The highest ever, since.
I think the Kenyan authorities gave reasons. I think they said it was because of the low level of the flow in the dams, in the various dams across the country.
Isn't that the same reason the Nigerian government gives?
I think Nigeria said they've been having, I can't really
issues
remember.
with the power grid, the dam, and all of that stuff.
Companies
yes,
and the likes,
exactly.
And the likes
that's
of
the same reason that we get. It's basically the same thing.
Well, we hope they find a way to manage these issues. But like I said, welcome to Nigeria, Kenya. Okay, moving on, still in East Africa, and this time to other trades. Zanzibar's President Hussein Ali Mwinyi is urging member states of the East African community to boost regional trade in order to promote economic prosperity in the region and across the continent. Speaking during a meeting with an EAC delegation led by its Secretary General Peter Mathuki, Mwinyi lamented the fact that member states and African countries in general traded more with countries in other continents, while trade amongst them was significantly low in comparison. Yes. This is a very, very valid point.
Yes, exactly. I agree with that.
A very valid point. You know, you see countries trading with China, India, the United States of America, Russia, including Slovenia.
Yeah.
You know, and the African countries in Africa who could do majority of these things that you're going out to outsource people to come and do for you in the continent, be it construction, you know, be it provision of chemical pipeline, be it gas or whatever it is. We could get all of these experts here in Africa.
I mean, we're all talking about, you know, having to develop the African continent in the coming year. And I think bilateral trade is one way that we'll be able, you know, to do that for the continent, growth and development of Africa. So having to look outside of the continent, I don't think it's, you know, very good.
One thing Africans need to also understand is the fact that outside Africa and in other continents, it doesn't matter the country you're from. Yeah. You're African, exactly. You're black, you're black. Exactly. So they bundle all of us up as Africans and see Africa as a country. Therefore, it is very, very important that while you're seeking for somewhere to invest money, you invest it in Africa. Yes. Even if it's not in your country, invest it in another African country, so you know that money is circulating within
The continent.
the African, exactly, the African economy. So whether it is that you want to, go out for travel abroad for medical treatment, you can do so in Egypt. If you want to go to schools, there is Ghana, and a couple of other African countries that you could go and school. Quality education, including Nigeria. Let's put aside the fact that everybody is on strike, including ASU, and they are threatening another strike. You understand?
Yeah.
But these things are in Africa. Africa is a rich continent, and until we start seeing that we ourselves can do what we need to do by ourselves, we'll keep having these issues.
All right, passionate about Africa.
I am as a matter of
Young
fact, because I am African.
All right, so with that, talking about Africa, we'll bring you COVID-19 updates from across Africa. And then you know that after that, we're looking at front pages of Nigerian dailies this morning.
North to South Africa, East to West Africa, TOS TV Network is your digital-first Pan-African news network, bringing you news from across the continent. Visit our website www.tostvnetwork.com and follow us on social media at TOS TV Network on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter. Watch us on television, channel 138 on TSTV Africa.
It is still the conversation on your digital first Pan-African News Network, TOS Television. Do remember, you could be part of the conversation by connecting with us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram using the details currently on your screen. It is the newspaper segment of the conversation, and we begin with the Daily Times newspaper of this morning, and we'll start from the very top, where FG approves 18 billion naira for takeoff of 4 specialized varsities. And on the banner headline there on the Daily Times newspaper, customs to impound unverified private jets, and that could be found on page 2 of the Daily Times newspaper. Well, there are a couple of other headlines on the Daily Times newspaper of this morning. You could quickly grab a copy to get a read.
All right, looking at the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper this morning, the very first headline there says, "All my appointments, projects guided by equity, inclusiveness." That's coming from President Buhari. And the banner headline there says 774,000 jobs. Federal government directs banks to pay participants. That is actually, the headline on the Daily Trust newspaper this morning.
We'll go to the Blueprint newspaper. We'll start with the obvious headline, Sani Bello's order to special squad, comb the forest and free 136 kid abductees. And we've got 2 riders right underneath it. Promises actions against well-organized, coordinated bandits. Amotekun has come to stay, Makinde. There are a couple of other headlines on the Blueprint newspaper. You can get a copy to read more.
The last front page we're going to be looking at is the front page of the Nigerian News Direct. Quite a number of colorful, interesting headlines on the Nigerian News Direct this morning. But the banner headline there says APC may face challenges after Buhari's exit in 2023. That's coming from Lawan. The rider under the headline says advises party leaders to divest power to youth. That's on page 21. There are quite a number of interesting headlines, like I said earlier. Just get yourself a copy of the blueprint, the Nigerian News Direct, actually, so you can read up on all of those stories.
And that would be it for the newspaper segment of the conversation. We'll go on a quick commercial, and when we return, we'll bring you the big story.
At the first sign of pain, you need a solution that you can trust to provide effective relief and is gentle on the stomach. Try Panadol Caplets for relief from headaches, body aches, and fever. With Panadol's Optizorb formula, the tablet gently breaks down in the stomach, quickly absorbs, and starts providing pain relief in 15 minutes. For fast and effective pain relief that you can trust, try Panadol Caplets. This has been Medifact's.
You won't go shake your body. Instead, they make it calm down. Eat the farm, say it's happy. You want to grow 6 packs in a day. I beg you not to pass your power. You want to show yourself, oh.
Whatever your size, find it with the new Airtel data plans. Dial *141# now to get the plan that suits you. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Yes, it is still the conversation on TOS TV Network. And like I always say, do remember you can be part of the conversation community by joining us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at TOSTVNetwork.com. You could watch us live at www.TOSTVNetwork.com. You could watch some of our content on YouTube as well, as subscribe and like the content at TOSTVNetwork.com. It is the big story, and today's focus is going to be on the incessant abductions of school students. What happened to the Safe School Initiative? Now, the Safe School Initiative was launched in 2014 after the abduction of the Chibok girls back then in Borno State. And since then, it expected that to some extent, there's supposed to be an impact, on the way students attend schools in order to prevent that scenario from ever happening again. But so far, it's looking like abduction of students has become the order of the day. In the studio with us to talk more on this issue as well as other issues is Mr. Samaila Musa, and he is the Director of Strategy and Programs for the Coalition of Northern Groups. Thank you so much for joining us on the conversation.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. So, Mr. Samaila,
yes,
why has there been an increase in the frequency of abduction of students, especially at schools?
Okay, first is that you see the kidnapping thing has become an industry, one of the biggest now in Nigeria.
Exactly.
That when you're looking for quick money, for criminals now, that's one of the easiest. As a matter of fact, you will notice that you hear less of armed robbery now on the roads because that is no longer thriving in the face of this kidnapping. So for the big guys who feel, armed robbery is no longer the way, so everybody is now diversifying into the bigger one, which is the kidnapping. So that's just the thing. But of course, why the focus on schools these days is because the larger the number, the more the money. So you need to target where you can have them. But of course, you see, why you feel, the market will be excluded is because they are usually at the center of the city. So rustling people, I like to use that word, rustle. Yes. People from the city center outside, it's a big difficult. Yeah. So the schools are the easiest target for them.
Okay, so I have a follow-up question, because you just talked about rustling, and it made my mind think of something. Initially, it used to be rustling cattle, yes?
Yeah.
They go into the bushes, they rustle cattle from herdsmen and the likes of that. And then it transcended into going into schools, elementary schools to abduct children. and it gradually transcended into secondary schools.
Tertiary
And now we are
institutions,
seeing that even tertiary institutions are facing the same problem.
Yeah.
So the question is there something fundamentally wrong with the nation's security architecture? Because at this point, it's looking like they are having a swell day and nobody is stopping them and nothing is being done, especially when these children are abducted. The government is saying, look, we didn't negotiate with these guys. And on the other hand, all of a sudden we see these children are released. So what is that conversation that is going on that we don't know about?
In your opinion?
Yeah, you see, the point is no matter what you want to deny,
Yes.
people are not stupid. It's a network sometimes. It will baffle you. Back in the days when armed robbers, when they want to rob a bank, you will hear they picked from different groups and
Yes.
from different cities. They also have a network. Even if you come on air and deny that you didn't pay ransom, the people who matters know that it was paid. So it doesn't really matter. But of course, back to your question, why, you know,
The security
the
architecture.
security
what is-
architecture,
is the-
you just mentioned the obvious. It's obvious that there's no security in Nigeria as it is. It's either the manpower is not sufficient or something is wrong somewhere. But I tell you, there are saboteurs within the system. I have mentioned this time and time again at different fora. The people who are benefiting, who are taking the lion's share, are most likely not the criminals
Yeah,
themselves.
doctors.
There are
Doctors,
people
I know.
who know where you can get this money from. When you look at the pictures, the videos of the people who are, they don't even know what's 1 million naira.
Yeah.
These are people who can't tell you what is left from
Exactly,
right.
yes.
The riffraffs negotiating in tune of 200 million. What do they know that is? They don't know. Some people are actually sitting somewhere, you know,
Guiding and telling them
you
what to
understand, and doing all these things. They are the big masquerades behind the scene. You know, we're just saying all this. These are just foot soldiers, mercenaries who, once you give them tramadol, they are high and they're ready to do. They bring the whole place down. You know, so that's the major problem. And the government is not really looking into that area to know who are actually the saboteurs. I can tell you, in each school where you have that, they have done their homework. They have somebody who is from the inside who tells them when to strike, when not to strike, who tells them, okay, if you get this number, who tells them, oh, this school we have rich kids. If you don't have rich kids, the government will come in to, you understand, to pay this ransom and all of that. So really, it's a network. When the Katsina one happened, about 330 kids, you know, rustled like that in broad daylight. We went there. After the meeting with the governor, we said, okay, we'd like to see the school. We went there, and I stood somewhere, and I was wondering, how could this be? You walk about 5 hours. We talked to a few guys around, you know, from the community, and they say, oh, okay, wow, my brother saw them when they came, blah, blah, blah. He quickly ran. He met so person. We made phone calls, blah, you know. So when you look at the duration and all of that, you feel really something went wrong. You've had places where there are roadblocks. Why is it that it's on the day this thing is going to happen that people don't come out on duty, the security, you understand?
Yes.
And nobody's asking questions. We just feel, oh, okay, because our car broke down and blah. It's a hell lot of, I mean, there are so much people involved. There are so much conspiracies around it that you need to look internally first and foremost to know who is making what.
Talking about looking internally, you spoke about saboteurs and insiders and all the conspiracies. Do you think that is what is actually wrong with the, you know, the Safe School Initiative? Because as Saga did mention, it was launched in 2014, but from that time till now, it seems as though abductions, kidnappings have skyrocketed.
One of the people who really raised that Safe School Initiative was Gordon Brown, the former UK Prime Minister. And he made categorical statements. He said, first and foremost, what we need to do, because that was when the Chibok girls issue happened, that we need to look at how we can support the families whose children are involved, you know, and then practical measures needs to be taken. Have you seen any practical measures taken? About $20 million donated. What is the practical measure? You can't see anything. Go to those schools. Was it not about 4 years after that Abduction girls happened?
Yes.
So what are we talking about? There is nothing happening. You understand? The monies are there. The moment people donate, already the people who will steal it are already smiling to the bank and be like, okay, yeah, let it roll in. You understand? So that's a major problem, you know.
Okay. So in your opinion, what does the government have to do to solve the problem of abducting school students once and for all. However, I would like to add as well, because it seems like it's becoming a norm for Nigerians to not just rely on the government, to solve problems for them. So I would add, what does the government as well as Nigerians need to do to ensure this stops?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, first, when the crimes like this happen, you need to check motive. You understand what is the motive? But of course, in this case, this is money driven, right? Secondly, if I'm seeing something in your house, for instance, but I can't access it, it's a difficult thing for me to do. You get what I'm saying? So really, there's that opportunity. Apart from, okay, you have the motive, but I'm the one who is giving you the opportunity to do that.
Yeah.
So the government needs to be up and doing. They need to, the security architecture needs to be beefed up in such a way that you don't give room for this. But you see, also, there's a need to actually, when you're trying to overhaul this security architecture, there's actually a need for you to look at the internal security, of the schools. There's need to look at the perimeter security, because when you look at most of the schools, some of them don't even have fence.
Yes.
How do you have kids in a boarding house? And we're talking about the age range of about between 9 years and 15 years old, because that's the norm now. Yes. They leave primary school at maybe age 8, because they take common entrance at primary 4, 5.
Yes. Yeah.
You understand? So how can you leave those kind of kids in those boarding houses without a fence? You get it?
Yes.
You get to the gate of the school, you see just one person on duty manning the gates in cases where you even have a gate. You understand? How does that work? It doesn't work. You can't have people's children, in that quantum in a boarding school where there's no any adequate, individually you think about it yourself. You can't have your kids in your house and you leave everywhere open.
Yes.
It doesn't happen. So why should we have that? We don't even need to wait for issues like this to come up before you begin to look at it and say, oh, we need to protect these kids. You're the one saying, oh, they must be educated. Yes. So what are you providing for them? It's not just to be educated, but how do you safeguard their lives? It's very key. You get it? So there's a need, actually. But you see, it has to come from the top down. People are saying nobody is being, queried for this. In all these places, we have not heard that, oh, in social school or in social place where this kidnapping happened, social set of people are supposed to be on duty. They failed. This is what we did. So if there's no strong signal, you understand? If you don't send that kind of strong signal, oh, social people were fired because this happened.
Yeah.
Everybody will stand up.
So nobody's been proactive.
Nobody's been proactive.
Nobody's being held responsible.
You understand? So, once there's no any accountability, I know if I don't come to work under whatever guise, there's nothing is going to be done. So I keep doing it.
So a lot of incompetence is going on.
Yeah, of course.
It is being taken for granted because nobody is talking about it. And, at the detriment of the lives of students and the agony of parents, children are being kidnapped. The government is not saying anything about it. The state government is doing absolutely nothing about it. And at the end of the day, they would negotiate with these so-called bandits and pay ransom.
And let me quickly add, because you see, our Nigerian borders is one of the most porous in the world. In this axis, taking it from the northeast down to northwest, everywhere is open. You understand? You have the entry points in their thousands.
Yes.
You understand? The other time, the president declared a no-flight zone in Zamfara. People were wondering, what flight goes to Zamfara? But they didn't understand what's happening there. On daily basis, flights come into Nigeria to Zamfara to carry gold. You understand? And just take it away. They have people, they have mercenaries in each side. Because there's even the fight for taking territories that, okay, after the seismic test, we found out there's large deposit here. There's need to dislodge these settlers here and all of that. Now, warlords are coming into Nigeria unchecked. You understand?
Yes.
And after coming in, after making so much money, they're also calling their people in their countries and say there's so much money to be made here. So Nigeria is actually like the way some of our people are now traveling to Europe and all of that. Nigeria is their own Europe.
Destination.
You understand? There's so much money to be made here because once they participate in one hit and they made that large sum of money, you know, they will not leave. Whatever it's going to take, they would rather die here than go back to their place. You understand? Yeah. So they're just calling in for mercenaries and nobody's checking all these things. These people come in. Nigeria is the only place where you don't need to tender any paper at the border. Just tell them where you're going, that's all. You're free to enter. It's actually a big problem. You know, so you really cannot stem this while we still have our borders unchecked.
All right, thank you so much for joining us on the show this morning. Unfortunately, that's the most that we can take. And thank you guys for joining us on the conversation this morning. Oh, you know, we're going to be back here, you know, with the conversation tomorrow. But before then, you should follow TOS TV Network across all social media platforms. Subscribe to TOS TV Network on YouTube as well. And of course, stream our content on www.tostvnetwork.com. My name is Adesu Alsui.
And I am Sagir Ibrahim. Thank you so much for watching.